All right, we're recording.
This meeting
Welcome to the
recorded by the
TNC
phone.
podcast. What are you saying? Why'd you
Hello,
interrupt
friends.
me? You said you weren't going to start us off, and then you interrupted me.
There was there was a thing that popped up in my screen. I was reading it out loud. I'm retarded.
It's like you do this just to embarrass me in front of everyone.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast. We got our
Thanks.
friend Gabe on. Gabe, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Like he said, my name is Gabe. Drink beer. Happy to be here. Been friends with these guys since we were about tall.
Yeah.
No, I think we were taller than that.
Well,
Y'all were taller. I was always the short one.
That's
Y'all
fair.
too, Jordan. Like you guys all were maxed height in seventh grade, and I didn't start growing until freshman year of high school.
We were maxed height. Oh, maxed height. They said maxed height. I was like, what does that mean? I'm retarded.
are you drunk right now? Be honest. It's a little early in the podcast for that.
Not yet. No, I might be though.
Yeah, what are y'all drinking? Isn't that how you normally start these things?
We do. I'm drinking my favorite Smirnoff Ice.
Mm.
I'll be honest, I get a lot of heat. Like every time we release a podcast where I'm drinking this, I have at least one person, usually two or three, that message me and tell me I'm lame, but I don't care because I like it. So
I mean, it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What do you got, man?
I normally like Smirnoff Ice quite a bit. However, I was at a party. Was it a New Year's party or a Christmas? It was a Christmas party at Emily Shelby's, and I got iced by Dylan Stein.
Nice.
But it wasn't like the little 16-ounce bottle. It was like the pint and a half worth or whatever. And after drinking that, I don't want Smirnoffs for a while.
Must be tough being a baby.
It is. It is. You know, a lot of times I just wake up randomly throughout the night screaming, covered in my own shit. Nightmares all the time. It's awful. Yeah, it's tough. I hope I grow up one day. We'll see.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you got tonight, man?
Yingling, Golden Pilsner. I got onto them recently. They're pretty good.
That's a good choice. I felt like when I first started drinking, Yingling was my go-to.
I feel like that was like a subtle roast, like telling me I'm like a new drinker or something.
No, I don't think I just don't really drink beer anymore. But I think it's a good beer.
It's a great beer to start with when you just start drinking.
Back when I was a child.
If you don't have any experience with alcohol at all, it's a good place to start.
That was not, I promise that was not a roast.
It's
You'll know when we're roasting, yeah.
Christian, what obscure whiskey are you drinking tonight? Because every time you get on the podcast, you're drinking some whiskey I've never heard of, and everyone else is like, "Oh, wow, very cool."
Do other people do that?
I don't know. I feel like people just know more things about whiskey, I guess. I am drinking a Glenlivet 14. Yeah, 14. Glenlivet 14.
Oh, of course, Glenlivet 14.
It's good.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Nice.
I enjoy it.
That's a tall glass you got there, man.
It's gonna be a long night, so
2 fingers.
we only pour doubles in this household, all right?
That's more than a double.
Yeah, wouldn't you like to know?
I don't what?
I always had a friend that would always say that when they were pouring wine, say just 2 fingers, and he'd put his fingers like in the cup like that.
I never heard that before. That's pretty funny. I'm gonna remember that one. I'm gonna use that one next time I'm out in the town trying to impress some fly honeys.
It's a good one. The girls love it. Great.
I bet. I got plenty of other good corny jokes, so I'll just add it to my repertoire.
Let's hear your funny corny jokes.
No, it's you got to be like in the moment. I can't.
No,
really.
I'm in a moment right now, and I'd like to hear.
I'm saying that I have to be in the moment, and I have to perceive that you're also in the moment. So there's 2 components here, and we're at 50%, which is mean it's not going to work. I'll explain the math to you later.
Okay, but just to go off that, Gabe, about 10 minutes ago, he was trying to get me to take my pants off.
That is not true.
He's in the moment. He just doesn't want to tell us his.
What was his pickup line?
In fact, it's actually the opposite. Christian was actually trying to get me to take my pants off.
No, not at all.
Well, did he have game? Did it work?
Neither of us took our pants off, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, I'm down one Smirnoff Ice.
Oh boy.
Gosh, we're like 3 minutes in.
11 more to go. Christian and I, we try to start drinking a little bit early. You got to be warmed up. But we found also this podcast, if we drink too much, the podcast goes very poorly at the end. I feel like we learned that the hard way a few different times after we were looking back at the podcast. It's like, oh, this is real bad.
This is 3 hours of bullshit. What are we doing?
Good times.
Oh yeah, they're all great times though. We have fun.
Sometimes.
Christian, you're a free man. How's it feel? Your first
Yeah.
free man.
First week of being free.
Yeah.
Are you looking at your phone right now?
Yeah, I was trying to pull something up real quick, but I found it. First week of being Mr. Christian Harris. It's cool, man. It feels good. It's kind of gradually hitting me. I kind of thought it would be like one day I would just wake up and realize, oh, I'm not at the mercy of our government necessarily anymore. We all are, I guess, unfortunately, but more directly that way. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good to be not in the army. Hard to put it into words, honestly. I just feel better overall. Like even health wise, I feel a lot better.
That's good.
Which brings me to an interesting topic. Toby, my tummy.
That's what I was about to say. Speaking of health, how have the poops been?
So prior to my ETS, I thought my poops were great. It was seemingly really consistent and well formed and no issues. But I get out, and Toby, I have not had poops better than the ones I've been having.
Really?
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
I think that just comes along with like the consistency of like not wanting to pull my hair out, and the consistency of like eating meals and sleeping and waking up at a normal hour, which you don't always get to do, at least not in the army sometimes.
Yeah.
But I really think it's more along the lines of not wanting to pull my hair out every day. Kind of makes me poop better, I guess. So that's cool.
Well, that's great, man. I'm happy to hear it.
I feel pretty good.
I mean, the brain gut connection's pretty strong. If you're stressed out, your poop's not gonna be good.
It's true. But that's just the thing. Like I thought my poops were great. Always a consistent guy, clean eater, but as of these last, what is it, 10 days now? Yeah, 10 days.
Wow, that's a good streak.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's a big indicator of high cortisol when you're having watery stools.
Is it really? I didn't know that. Huh.
I told you my random science facts will be about my
That's
contribution to that.
That's perfect. I mean, I think the best podcast we've had so far was with our friend Audrey. That was one of the more recent releases. You may not have seen it yet, but she talked about like the importance of like the strength of the pelvic floor and that how it relates to incontinence and also diet, getting the right amount of fiber and all that. So I'm always glad to have some poop facts. No doubt about that. Yeah, my poops have been a little off lately, but I've also been I've been more stressed at work. It's just been busy past like week and a half. And I also haven't been eating as many vegetables, which I'm sure is a problem just because I have been kind of lazy with my diet. So that might be the cause. They've been kind of forced, just not very good, not very consistent. But how about you, Gabe? How are your poops, man?
To be honest, I never think about my poops. I listened to y'all's podcast about the poop stories. With a good story for my poop because I knew y'all were gonna ask.
Yeah.
I don't really pay attention to it, so I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But what's been bad is my puppy's poops for a long time.
Oh yeah.
It took me months to figure out what was wrong with my puppy. It would wake up like 6 or 7 times at night to have diarrhea, and it was always at night. So I thought my dog had some kind of infection or worms. It's pretty common for pooping at night, but I got like every test done and didn't have worms. I tried switching diet to so many different kinds of diets, and it never stopped. This went on for several months. I didn't sleep for like 3 or 4 months with my puppy. I figured out it was the damn pecans in my backyard.
Really?
Yeah, chewing on pecans causes diarrhea.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Took away the pecans and finally started sleeping.
That's
Diarrhea.
rough, man.
I don't know why. I don't think it causes diarrhea in humans, but it does for dogs.
That's weird.
Pro tip: if you ever get a dog,
Yeah, Christian. Well, Christian's got a puppy. Well, barely a puppy anymore, but
Not a puppy anymore. He's beefy.
yeah.
don't let him eat pecans.
All right.
Oh.
I gave him a slice of like a super small, and I don't think these are related, but it was interesting. I gave him like a super small slice of venison the other night. And no less than an hour later, he's making milkshakes outside. And it was, I don't know what it was. It was the strangest thing. I guess
Was it raw or cooked venison?
I was cooked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was it well seasoned?
No, not really. Salt.
Yeah. Huh. I don't know.
I don't know. Puppies are weird, I guess.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Toby, you need to get a really. I've been thinking about this. I know I've told you this before. I know you're not like the biggest dog guy. You like dogs, but I don't know if you really want a dog. Is that true?
I like dogs. If I had like a big yard, I might get one. I don't know if I'm going to get one after the army because, I'm planning on growing vegetables in the yard. And I feel like it'd be a hassle to train the dog to not mess with my garden area. I do like dogs, though. One day I might like to get a dog, but I'm more of a cat guy, to be honest.
Okay, you need to get a cat. Like I forget the breed specifically, but it's a big cat, but it's not like one of the big cats in Africa. It's like a bigger, like, what are they called? I think I've sent you a picture of them before, but you
Like
can
an
like
ocelot.
yeah, sort of like an ocelot
There's
kind of.
ocelots,
You can like train them to like.
pixie bobs,
All right,
chowsies,
I don't need friggin' Animal Planet over here.
Maine Coon.
But you can train these things to do what dogs do. Like you can
Yeah.
take them on a walk and like train them to do tricks and stuff. And they're like
Yeah.
a lot more, I guess, obedient, or maybe I don't know if regular house cats are dumb or not, but they seem to be more intelligent, I guess. And I think that'd be really cool. And I think you're the type of guy who would have one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. I think they've actually done studies though that have shown that like domestic cats that they do know what you're saying. They just don't care. They just don't care to respond, but they are really intelligent. But yeah, some of those breeds, like ocelots that's like semi-domesticated. It's not super domesticated. But stuff like the Chowsy and the Pixie Bob, those are like well domesticated and they're more common for people to have them. But yeah, they're bigger and they're just like a lot more social. So they're happier to like do stuff with their owner and learn things. And yeah, people take them on walks or they go hiking, or like Pixie Bobs love to swim. So people like take them to the beach and stuff, or like to a lake and river.
Train these cats to kill the rabbits who are trying to eat your garden stuff.
That'd be a perk of having a guard cat for sure. I think it'd be fun to have one that I can take fishing with me on the kayak,
Oh yeah.
Have it sit there with me every now and then. If I catch like a little fish, I'll just like feed it to it. It'd be a lot of fun.
Agreed.
I want to train one too to like sit on my shoulder. So it can't be too big of a cat, but so I can like walk down the street and just like have the cat sitting on my shoulder and like sicking on people I don't like. You know what I mean?
That's all right.
Cats are vicious. They're killers, man. That's why I like them.
Did you know that Alabama has some of the most lenient laws for exotic animals? You can
Really?
get basically every animal you can imagine in Alabama and just put it in your backyard. Tigers, bears, monkeys, gorillas, anything.
Wow.
There's like no restrictions. You can just hop online and buy one and throw it in your backyard.
That's interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah, every state has like their own rules. You'd have to like look for each exotic animal, but for like big cats and monkeys, you're good to go.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know if I would want that. I did go down kind of a rabbit hole a night or two ago about alligator farming. Christian and I talked a little bit about that over text.
Yeah.
That's a little different. I think that'd be kind of cool though. Alligator farming, a little dangerous, just makes it fun. But you sell the meat and you can sell like the skins for making stuff. So
and you can train them to kill people.
And you can train them to kill people, which is probably like going to be the more lucrative option. You just train them to be like planet assassins. You know, you put them at like a golf course where, you know, like some scummy politician is going to be, and then they just call you up and you release the gator. Give them the target. Looks like an accident.
The one here in Baldwin County is lucrative. They make money just on people coming to look at it and visit. It's like $10 to walk around.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't think I've ever been. I don't think I've been there though. What's that?
I think it's in Loxley.
Yeah, something like that. Somewhere out in Baldwin County. That'd be pretty neat. But Gabe, one of my questions I wanted to ask you about. So you're pretty close. How long until you finish your DPT?
I'm done.
You're done? You graduate? When did you graduate?
A month and a half ago.
Well, excuse me, Dr. Gabe. That's really cool, dude. Congrats. I feel like you told us that, and I'm sorry that I didn't remember. I'm not a good friend, but
yeah, we know.
We all know. So my first question, when did it switch from, because you used to only have to have like a master's to practice physical therapy. Somewhat recently it switched where you had to have a doctorate of physical therapy. When did that, I mean, that was recent, right? Do you know when that was and why that switch happens?
To the exact year, I couldn't tell you that. I would guess around 8-9 years ago.
Okay.
But I can tell you why it happened.
Yeah.
One, because they can charge more money for it, and universities are all about the money.
Nice. True.
Two, it has a lot to do with direct access. Most states are getting now. Alabama is one of the few that doesn't have it, actually. But direct access basically means you can go straight to a physical therapist without having to go to the doctor for a referral. So you can be like, oh, my back hurts. You don't have to go to the doctor. Say, hey, my back hurts. Can you give me a referral for PT? You just go straight to the PT, which you can do that pretty much in every state now. I think like 47 of the 50 states. And in order to really have that direct access, which PTs were fighting for, they wanted to argue that if they got to turn it into a doctorate and added some more red flag screening is what we call it, like making sure they're able to differentially diagnose if someone walks in and they've got back pain that's actually coming from cancer or something more malignant or malicious. So they added a bunch of stuff like that to know when to refer back to the doctor if someone's coming in like, hey, this actually isn't musculoskeletal. This is coming from something more malicious or malignant, and you need to do some imaging. So that's why they changed it to a doctorate, in order to just have the more autonomy to do direct access, which almost every medical profession is moving in that direction right now. OTs. I don't know what else. I feel like most professions in the medical world are turning to doctorates for that reason, just have more autonomy.
Okay, interesting. Since I mean, you had to do a long time to get a doctorate of PT, why'd you choose that over anything else?
I guess it's kind of a long story, but I was a missionary in Argentina for 2 years, where our whole mission was just visiting lonely people, forming friendships with people in the slum, mainly elderly people. So we would just go out all afternoon and just go knocking on doors, visiting some of the friends we made in the neighborhood that had no one else to visit them and no family, friends. That's how we spent our days. And I really enjoyed that. I felt like it was a really fulfilling life for me. So I wanted to find a career that could kind of mimic that sort of lifestyle. And a lot of the same people were really suffering from a lot of physical problems as well. So I thought it would be cool if I could find a job in the healthcare world where I was kind of attending to people's like loneliness and desire for friendship and to be loved, and also at the same time helping them with some of their physical problems. And physical therapy kind of just fit that what I was looking for, I guess. I thought it'd be really cool. So I'm going to do home health right out the gate. Where home health physical therapy is just when you basically are going to people's houses, people that are homebound, can't leave their house, and who need physical therapy. So it's kind of like going back on mission for me, because a lot of these are elderly people, a lot of lonely people, especially in New York City where I'm going to be. So kind of loving on them, being a friend to them, and at the same time being able to help them with any kind of physical problems they're going through. So that's kind of why I got into it.
Yeah, that's really cool. 2 years is a super long time to live in the foreign country. You weren't planning on being there for 2 years, right? When you first went down there? Or were you? How did that happen? How did you like find this opportunity to go down to Argentina on mission? And then how did you end up staying there for so long?
I found out about the mission groups. I was just looking for a mission towards my end of college because I was kind of just confused, didn't know what to do with my life after I graduated undergrad, and I thought it would be cool to give a couple years in service. And I just really connected well with the mission when I heard about this certain group. Just really simple presence and friendship. So I decided to go for like a year, 12 months was my initial commitment, and I ended up just really enjoying it and kind of postponing and be like, hey, can I stay a little longer? Can I stay a little longer? And yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. When do you move to New York?
I'm not there yet. I'm moving in a couple weeks. I'm gonna start my first job up there.
Nice. You excited? Is it bittersweet leaving home?
Yeah, I'm excited. My girlfriend lives in Manhattan, so that'll be nice being close to her. Shout out to Deanna. She's listening to this.
Nice. How'd you guys meet?
In New York. I was living there earlier this year.
Okay.
Nice.
Right on. Right on. All right.
What
My
about
next
you?
question, which I texted you about, how do you feel about chiropractic care?
Uh, what's not going to get me in trouble?
All you got to do is preface that these are I don't know, something
I
along
don't
the lines.
Christian, I don't think you're at a place to advise Gabe on what's not gonna get him in trouble.
I can do that. I'm good at staying out of trouble.
No, in all seriousness, I don't have anything wrong with chiropractors. To be honest, I don't see why there's really two different schools with chiropractors and physical therapists because we're treating the same patient population. I feel like there should be evidence-based practice to treat someone who comes in with this problem. Come in with like a erector spinae strain, their low back. There shouldn't be like four different people you can go see to fix the problem. There should be a best way to fix that problem, the most evidence-based best way to fix it. So I feel like there's not really any reason to have two different schools treating the same patient populations. And just like any profession, teachers, doctors, lawyers, there's going to be good ones and there's going to be bad ones. And I think that's kind of the case just with chiropractors and PTs. Unfortunately, I think with chiropractors, the majority of them are bad ones. But I think part of that's just what they're being taught in school. It's just a load of garbage. You can't doing manipulations, what we call them, they call adjustments, which even though you're not adjusting anything, but I won't go there. That's just a lot of false advertising in order to get people to come in. Cracking backs and all that has its place in therapy. We learn how to do all that stuff too, but it's not doing what most chiropractors are telling the patients that it's doing, aka replacing bones, realigning people, all those things. It just doesn't add up in all the research. It's not what's happening at all.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at this recently and I saw that there is research that shows that chiropractic care can be effective for lower back pain, but not for like all the other stuff that chiropractors sometimes claim it does. But I have a few fun facts that I looked up for our audience about the history of chiropractic care.
Yeah.
You guys can look this up. I found an article about it and I'll post it in our video description. But the founder of chiropractic care was Daniel David Palmer, or D.D. Palmer, somewhere in the back half of the 1800s. But he said that he came up with the idea for chiropractic care through a seance where he talked with the ghosts of a physician that had died about 50 years prior. So that's pretty fun. He also claimed that 95% of disease, and again, he was referring to the diseases of the time, so like late 1800s. He said 95% of the diseases were caused by subluxations, which is where your spinal bones are out of alignment and they put like pressure on the nerves of your spine. And also towards the end of his life, he was jailed for practicing medicine without a license. So that's some fun facts that you guys can look up, and I'll put a link to an article I read about it. But that's how chiropractic care started. I think that was a fair comment that you made earlier, though, that just like anything else, there's good people and bad people in it.
Yeah. I think most people that get better from chiropractors is just Mother Nature doing its work. Like if you tweak your back, it'll get better on its own. You don't need to go to a PT. You don't need to go to chiropractor. It might speed up the process a little bit. If it cracks your back, it feels good. It's good for short-term pain relief, cracking your back. I mean,
for sure.
I love cracking my back. I love crack people's backs all the time in the clinic. It's good for short-term relief, and you can do some exercises to reinforce what you just did. And that's a great tool. But if you're just cracking their back and sending them on their way, you're not doing them any good, except for maybe 5-10 minutes of pain relief. And
yeah, that's the biggest thing I've seen. And I mean, this is anecdotal. It's all secondhand from people that I've talked to, but it seems like you're not really like they're not providing like long-term care. Like you said, Gabe, it's very like short-term relief, which is great, but I mean, the way that like chiropractic care is established, they've kind of established themselves as like quasi physicians, and that just doesn't really seem to be legit to me.
it's not fixing anything.
Yeah.
It's not even low back pain. That's going to get better on its own anyways, even if you don't do anything. If you tweak your low back, so many times people are like, oh, the chiropractor fixed my back. No, it just got better on its own because you just tweaked it lifting something. It's like, it's fine. Your body has incredible capacity to heal itself. Maybe it felt good when they cracked your back, or it probably did feel good. That's just how it is. Physical therapy is the same way. I mean, I'm almost at the point where I've been so discouraged with physical therapy that I almost wouldn't recommend people to go to physical therapy unless I knew going to, because it's so bad.
Really? So just like you would tell them not to do anything because you feel like they can get better on their own?
I think most people physical therapy that's being done right now is pretty much the equivalent of not doing anything because it's that bad. Unfortunately, I know some really good ones, but I know some great chiropractors too who are doing a lot of exercise. Aaron Kubel on Instagram, he's awesome, a great chiropractor. I mean, it goes both ways.
So like, why do you think that is with physical therapy in particular? Like, what are they doing or not doing that makes the PT sessions not useful?
I think severe underdosing is a big problem. You've got athletes coming in that can squat 400 pounds, and you've got them with like a little band doing something is not enough to actually provide a stimulus that's going to make a change in their muscles, and people that don't actually exercise themselves, they don't know anything about exercise, and people that just don't keep up with the research. A lot of older PTs, especially, medicine's constantly evolving. You see so many older PTs that just don't keep up with the research at all and are still practicing things like ultrasound and e-stim. I mean, how many people have been to PT and gotten the little electrodes, the e-stim or ultrasound or something, which has no backing and evidence at all? It's kind of like cracking backs for chiropractors. So you just see a bunch of crap out there. People throwing on ice for 20 minutes and then billing for it because they're too lazy and don't want to do exercise with them. It's just a bunch of garbage.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, this was a while ago, but in high school, so we had a PT at our high school that was kind of there for all sporting stuff. But I tore my MCL and had a partial tear in my meniscus, and we did the e-stim electrical stimulation as part of the physical therapy. So like that's not legit. Like there's no evidence that shows that helps with recovery or anything.
Absolutely not.
That's really interesting.
Pain relief.
Yeah. Well, why did they ever start doing that? Because they thought there was like a pain relief element and they thought maybe it also helped heal, or?
Yeah, people back in the day when it first started in the 70s or the 80s, they just didn't know any better and there wasn't enough research on it. And they thought it was this new breakthrough and it was going to be really helpful. And it just kind of stuck around. People just assumed it was helpful and it worked for some people. It didn't work for other people. The people it did work for are probably the ones Mother Nature was just doing its thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just got out of hand.
That's one thing I feel like I've noticed a lot recently because I listen to a lot of like nutrition and health related podcasts. And it seems like there's such a big gap between like the research that's being done and then that getting to like medical professionals. So like how do you solve that problem, of like keeping up? Because I mean, like everyone's so busy as far as medical professionals. Like you guys are all worked like crazy hours, which is what makes it profitable for you to be, on the medical side of things. So like how do you fix that problem? Have you thought about that? Do you try to do like reading on new research, or what does that look like?
It's a great question because it's a huge problem across all medical professions. And what they tell us in school is half of what you learn is going to be proven false in 10 years. The problem is we just don't know which half.
Wow.
And that goes across all medical fields. And it's true. I mean, a lot of the things I just learned, spent all these years learning, are probably gonna be proven false. Who knows? Maybe it's dry needling. If you have dry needling, that's the big thing in physical therapy right now, where they stick all those needles into you, like acupuncture.
I've heard about that. My friend Audrey, who's a occupational therapist, I've talked with her about that.
Okay, so that's what we're big into now, pushing that. But there's not a whole lot of research into it. So I have a feeling maybe in 10 years we're like, actually, that doesn't really do anything. So who knows? And
That's
it's so
wild.
important. I think it's just kind of comes on the individual responsibility of each person getting into the field. I mean, they have requirements. You have to fulfill a certain amount of continuing education hours each year, but that can be on anything random. And it's really not that much. So it's really not making a difference. It kind of comes on the shoulders of each individual person and just their desire to really help people. I mean, people hopefully get into the medical profession because they want to help people, and they're not really going to be helping people if they're not keeping up with the research. And that's my stance on it.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it makes
Just a
sense.
commitment. When you get into these kind of professions, it's just a commitment that you have to make from day one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Easier said than done, probably for me right now. I'm single and don't have anything. You have 6 kids and working 2 jobs to provide. I mean, I get it. It's hard.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think it's going to be hard enough. Like once you move and start working, I'm sure it's going to be hard enough to perform the job as you're single long. Sorry. Oh, I think I just kind of like cut out for a second.
You sure did.
Yep, you're back.
Okay. I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, that's crazy though to think about. 50% of it will be proven wrong in 10 years. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. It's like we know much less than we actually think we know.
Yeah.
As far as like all things medical, that's what it seems like.
I mean, COVID was a prime example of that. No one knew what they were doing.
What a mess that was. Don't even get Christian started on that one. Christian, are you looking at your phone again? God damn it, I swear.
I just looked down.
Are we? I can see the light. I can see the light when you turn your phone on. I thought this was interesting.
Really?
We're not good enough.
Really? My phone's not over there? Really? You want to? I don't
what
have
are you
my
looking
phone.
at?
I was playing with my toy. I'm a fidgeter, dude. You know this.
I need you to
Chris,
stay
you said you had some
focused.
science fun facts. Hit me with a science fun fact.
Science fun fact.
Wow.
You caught me off guard there. Hang on, let me think.
Tell us something about shooting and like the curvature of the Earth.
I don't want to do that.
How you factor that in?
You don't.
Guys with mustaches are more likely to get women.
What's that?
Guys with mustaches are more likely to get the girl.
That's how I got Avery.
That makes sense to me. I don't need to see the research on that one. I believe it.
Yeah. There was an act of God for that one. Let me tell you.
An act of God for what?
To get Avery.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
She's way out of your league.
I know. That's what I tell her.
Well, don't tell her too much. You don't want her to catch on.
I tell her all the time. She's like, yeah, I know.
I've really been enjoying the candle that you guys sent me. I burned it a lot. It's really
good, man. I'm glad you did. Keep that. If you ever burn it out, keep that container, and I can refill it with. Nice. Again. Yeah.
Yeah. Will do.
Yeah.
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 Why?
Alex, you got a girlfriend these days?
He's
a man of many women.
I've kind of decided not to try because I'm only going to be out here in Virginia for like 8 more months. And I've already had so many times. So like across like my time in the Army, I'm averaging 12 months at a duty station, which is in part cool because like one of the reasons why I joined the Army is I wanted to travel, and I've gotten to do that. I've gotten to go all over the world, which is great. Also super hard as far as relationships go, both like friendships and romantic relationships. So after I got here, I kind of decided I wasn't even going to try to date. Well, that's not entirely true. I downloaded like 3 different dating apps that I used for like a month or 2 and just like was not having success. And it's because my profile was garbage, because all the pictures of me are me with fish, because I don't ever take a picture of myself because I'm with the fish. And, you know, obviously girls don't like that when all your pictures are you with the fish. So I was like, I could go out and take a bunch of selfies of myself doing things. But I'm not going to do that. So I stopped.
People
I
always
respect
talk
the crap
about
out of
that.
that, Toby. Good for you.
What'd you say, Christian?
I said I respect the crap out of that, Toby. You keep doing you, boo.
I mean, I could have put the work in, but I was like, I just don't think it's worth it because I'm moving soon.
Hey.
So
Don't change. You're good.
I'm not gonna change. What were you saying, Gabe?
I just feel like that's a meme. Like the one thing people told me when I first made a dating profile is don't have any pictures of you with fish.
Yeah.
And don't lie about your height.
Well, the fish thing is a cliche. And I mean, like, I don't know. I take it because like it's an accomplishment. Guys do like gym pics that are workout and are real big because they're showing off an accomplishment, right? Which is like what they've achieved through working out. It's the same with like fish pics, but girls don't want to see fish pics. But they don't mind gym pics, it seems like.
You should have put it in your profile. You should have like posed the question, "Are you DTF?" And then in parentheses say down to fish.
I think that would work for like 1% of women. And I think 99% of those women would not be the type of people I would want to date. So
well, good. There you go. That weeds them all out.
Yeah. I mean, I got like some matches here and there. I was on 3 apps, so it was bound to happen. But it's always like weird too, like talking to someone on a dating app. And I don't know. It feels uncomfortable, even as like a dude that shouldn't really have that many concerns. But it's just kind of weird for me meeting someone that way. But I don't know. People have done it, and it's worked for a lot of people. I'm not trying to like put down dating apps, but wasn't great for me because the fishing selfies is all I got.
Funny about dating apps. I've been on a dating app once for like maybe a week tops. I talked to one girl and I'm dating her currently.
That's great, man. That's a great success story right there. That's what you want. What dating app did you use?
What was it called? Hinge.
That's what I've heard. Hinge is really good. I never used Hinge, but I was talking with a guy I work with recently about this, and he says Hinge is really good. But I think I used Tinder, Bumble, and then like Catholic Match, which was the worst for sure.
And then Grindr, you use that one, don't you, Toby?
I didn't use Grindr because I'm not interested in men. But if I was,
big Grindr guy, huh?
Not a big Grindr guy.
All right.
Just give it a shot.
What's that?
I mean, how do you know if you don't like it? Have you ever tried?
I haven't tried. I see how the argument makes sense on the surface level. However,
it makes sense through and through.
If I even quickly consider it, I'm not interested in sex with a man. So I think that answers it for me.
Well, how do you know?
Run off ice.
There's nothing wrong with smearing off ice. All right.
I don't like boys.
I swear.
I swear.
I'm a pretty open,
all right, man. There's nothing wrong
with guy. I think I would admit that pretty easily if that was true.
What? Dude, you'll be all right.
I like dudes. I am pretty fruity, so I get that.
Yeah, we know.
I've had guys in the military that asked me if I was gay. It's always like these older dudes too, and they do it in like the most awkward way possible. It's happened. I guess it's just happened twice with me, but I think it's because I wear real like colorful clothes. Like when we have work events that you don't have to wear your uniform at, I just feel like I gotta wear colorful clothes, and I got like pink socks and stuff because I wear army green socks to work every day. So I feel like I gotta whatever. I feel like I gotta do some crazy colors when I'm not in uniform. But anyway, it's always like these crusty old guys, and then the last guy was like, "I don't mean any offense by asking you, and it doesn't really matter. But do you like boys or girls?" I was like, I like girls, and he's like, "Okay, I was just curious, because the way you dress." And anyway, he just walked away. It's like, all right, man, whatever.
Good talk.
Yeah, good talk. Good talk. He was a good guy, and he's a guy I worked with all the time. So it was just funny. He also like openly drank and drive. Like he would leave work and like you would see him cracking a beer and he'd be like, "I'm just having one for the road." You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you should not do that. And you should also not tell me if you're doing that. Like, don't be open about it. Put it in like a mug. I don't know.
Do you guys do have you ever done lunch beers with your dudes in their offices or something?
I haven't done lunch beers, but I have had
You done?
alcohol at work. Typically, like the end of the day, or like maybe it's like you're there kind of late, and it's like let's pull out some beers. Or when I was a platoon leader, I kept whiskey in my office. So every now and then, pull out the whiskey bottle, have a little drink. Where I work now, we actually keep beer in the fridge, so people pretty regularly will like drink a beer at the end of the day, which is cool.
We used to. I might be giving away a secret or two, but no one's listening other than family. Me and the dudes I worked with last would say, "Yeah, all right, we're gonna go do some paperwork in my office real quick. Got to bang out some, some training plans or some counselings or whatever."
Yeah.
And paperwork was code for we're gonna go drink in the office during lunch. So see you at
Nice.
1 o'clock. Good times. If I ever heard, "Hey man, we're doing paperwork," I'm like, all right, I'm bringing my laptop. Good times. Good times.
That's good. Yeah, I think I've only drank during lunch a few times, but it wasn't at the office. Like when I was in Korea, we had a bunch of restaurants real close to where we worked. So we would like go out on the town and get lunch sometimes. Then I'd have like a beer with lunch or something like that. So
Beer, a pitcher of sake, whatever.
hey, nothing wrong with that. It wasn't sake because that's Japanese and I was in Korea. So I think you mean soju, which doesn't come in a pitcher, but
yeah. Well, no, it does. We used to drink it out of the pitcher at a base outside of Camp Carroll.
really?
Yeah.
I'd never heard of soju in the pitcher. You could get beer in a pitcher. People like to mix beer and soju. So you would get like a pitcher of beer and then like a big bottle, like a liter of soju, and we'd mix.
I'd get a pitcher of blueberry soju.
Really?
Oh yeah. Almost every day after we were done doing whatever it is we were doing, and we'd just get drunk that night. It was great.
That sounds good. Some of the flavored soju is dangerous just because it doesn't taste alcoholic.
Yeah, that was the blueberry one.
There's this one that was like lightly carbonated and it had a toucan on the bottle. I don't know what it was called because it just had the name in Korean, but lightly carbonated toucan on the bottle. Didn't seem alcoholic at all. Could get you very messed up, but it was really good. Really good.
You remember the soju, those in the vending machines?
Yeah, there's everything in
That was
vending.
amazing.
They had like the little hangover drinks in the vending
It
machines.
was fantastic. You could walk into a vending machine with a handful of was it won?
Yeah.
Yeah, handful of won and get hammered. It was awesome.
They had condoms in some of the vending machines. Do you remember that?
Well, they do in most gas stations in shady parts of the U.S. too, so that's really not that crazy.
Yeah, but not in like a common there was vending machines in like the subway that had condoms. I thought that was interesting.
It was interesting.
They're kind of like a conservative people, so I can't imagine like a Korean dude like walking up and buying a condom in front of other people.
Maybe that was just there for the Americans who were living there.
Maybe. I never bought one, so I don't know.
Yeah, we don't use those here.
The way the Lord intended. Anyway, enough of that. Gabe, what else?
I went to a physical therapist about a month and a half ago. I was complaining of some middle and lower back pain that had been constant for quite a while. Quite a while being more than 2 or 3 months. And he put me down on the little examination table and started like twisting me and like moving me around and doing all this stuff. And let me tell you, that opened my eyes. The amount of pain that man caused me trying to figure out what was wrong with me was obscene. I was like a little bitch on the table, just squealing, that hurts. It was ridiculous. But he figured it out and told me to do a bunch of stretches and exercises, and it sort of worked, but not really. But yeah, that was cool. I thought about that when you brought up about chiropractic type stuff. I don't know why that made me think of it, but
what did he tell you was wrong with it?
So something in my left hip was either tweaked or injured or something, and over time I was overcompensating while I was walking, which caused my spine to kind of and yeah, evidently it's been an issue Like he said it takes a while for an injury like that to cause lower and middle back pain. So yeah, something in my left hip, just super tight, and he made me do this weird stretch where I felt like a really big pulling pain in my left hip, and it was not great. Could have been from anything, who knows?
Hmm.
But yeah, I thought yeah. So
Christian, I feel like you have this habit when we have medical professionals on, you just ask them about your personal problems, and like you can schedule appointments with people for that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't have to pay him anything.
Nice.
I would have to do more of a
I also
formal-
just wanted to share the story, Toby. So shush.
I enjoyed hearing it about you being a little baby.
Yeah.
Although we exceeded the swearing threshold where I feel like we have to mark our video as explicit now. That's all right. All of them have been marked explicit, so no
Is that my
change.
fault or?
But you actually
It's-
have to do that. That's like a YouTube policy.
Actually, I don't know if you have to on YouTube, but for Spotify, you have to mark whether they're explicit or not. YouTube, yeah, I think you just have to you have to mark whether or not it's intended for kids. So obviously all of our podcasts would be relatively adult themed. But yeah, Spotify, you have to mark explicit or not. So
Shit, damn bitch.
well, now we definitely crossed the threshold. That's fine. I don't mind. Life is explicit. So why shouldn't this podcast be? You know? I did try to keep it nice. Cheers. I did try to keep it clean when we had Audrey on, but that didn't work out. That's all right. It was fine. Still a success. Christian, let's talk about your girl. I can see that you're on your phone now. God damn it. Are you kidding me?
That was some business.
I can see it. At least hide it better. Jesus.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm not actually sorry. I'm probably gonna do it again. I'm handling something, Toby. God.
What do you have to handle, man? You have zero responsibilities right now.
That is not true.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. That's exactly what it looks like.
All right.
That's you. That's you.
Shut up.
What are you handling right now?
That's personal information that I don't have to tell you.
Well, we talk a lot about personal stuff on this podcast. So, and I've had 4 Smirnoff Ice. So
Wow.
it's going to be getting personal pretty quick.
So what were you saying when you lost it and went apeshit about me being
Let's talk about Greta Thunberg. We won't get too political because I know Gabe doesn't like that, but we were talking about that a little before we started recording the podcast, and it was just me and Christian.
I think she has Down syndrome.
That's funny because I also said something. I think she may be mentally impaired a little bit. Now, there's anything wrong with that. That's fine. Just how she looks in the face and how she asks. But she got arrested and detained for a short bit in Germany, like over the weekend, sometime relatively recently. But she was protesting a village being demolished, I guess, in Germany because a coal plant was expanding, or not a coal plant, but a coal mine was expanding its operations. So the people that lived there had all evacuated, except for maybe someone that stayed to protest. But Greta Thunberg was there protesting. And anyway, she got arrested, and it was kind of funny to see the pictures. Christian thinks that maybe it was staged because she was never in handcuffs. Which doesn't mean you're not detained if you don't get put in handcuffs, I feel like. But I'm sure she knew that she was probably going to get detained. I'm sure she knew that was a risk.
Why would you walk like that if you're not in handcuffs? Just walk normally.
I didn't see her like that. I did see pictures of the guys. Like there was pictures of her with police officers. Also, they were like decked out for all these punk protesters. Like they had like their full like body kit on and the helmets with like the mandible guards. It's like these look like a bunch of children. I don't think you really need that much protection, but maybe that's just what they wear in Germany. I don't know about their police force, but anyway, I did see pictures of them like holding her in her arm in a way that maybe would like make her feel more comfortable to put it behind her back. I don't know.
Okay, so-
I mean, it's a publicity stunt in part, at least, because that's like what she does. She's trying to get publicity to draw attention to the issues. So
Well, I'm very uneducated and I don't know who Greta Thunberg is. So I just Googled who that is.
yeah.
And the first thing that comes up is She's an 18-year-old climate and environmental activist with Asperger's. So that answers your question.
Oh, she does have Asperger's. That makes sense. Good for her being so successful though in what she does. Um, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't like coal either though, so I get her protesting. I mean, I don't know if she was doing it illegally. Everyone had been moved out of the town, but fun fact, burning coal gives a lot of or puts a lot of heavy metal pollutants out in the environment, in particular mercury. Well, methyl mercury to be even more particular. So if you ever heard of like the seafood advisories that for like the big game fish like tuna, marlin, shark, you're not supposed to eat much, and pregnant women in particular aren't supposed to eat much. It's because fish at the top of the food chain accumulate mercury, methyl mercury in their system as they get old because the little bait fish have it too. But anyway, most of the methyl mercury actually comes from burning coal. So just a little fun fact for you. Also, Ohio or Indiana, those two like they feel virtually the same to me. Maybe it's Ohio, but anyway, one of those Midwestern states, they decided to call natural gas as clean energy or like green energy or something, to which there was a lot of protests. But I don't think burning natural gas releases heavy metals like burning coal does. And also like the carbon dioxide and nitrates released from burning natural gas is way less than burning, like gasoline or diesel or coal. So relatively speaking, it is cleaner than those. Maybe not as clean as like solar, but anyway, just some interesting stuff that I saw in the news recently. You can check it out. What do you think about coal burning, Christian? Trump was a big fan. Said it was clean.
I don't know what Trump has to do with anything. I hate that guy too.
I thought you loved him.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Oh,
I am kidding you. Calm down. What a cliche to not like Trump.
all right,
The original.
all right. I mean, I don't really. I know it's not great, but we don't have, at least right now, to my knowledge, which is minimal on the subject. I don't know that we have a more viable substitute at the moment.
For
So
like electricity generation.
yeah, yeah. Um, obviously it's not great, but it's not. It's what we got, so we kind of got to deal with it for right now. I do think that natural gas is the future, and I think that hydrogen, like hydrogen burning cars, is going to be the future. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm not super educated on that subject either, so.
Yeah, hydrogen burning would be cool. I mean, that's what Elon Musk has said in the past. I think that he wants to move to for rocket fuel, because it's such an abundant source of fuel, like across the universe. I remember there were some problems with that for rocket fuel. I don't remember what they were, but I don't know. Natural gas definitely seems to be cleaner than coal. I think that's a pretty fair statement. I know there's like 400 years worth. If we keep burning at the same rate, there's like 400 years worth of coal in the United States. And the U.S. has the most reserves of coal than anywhere else. But also like natural gas, like I think there's a shitload of natural gas in the U.S. more than coal. So I think I'd rather expand the natural gas. But with natural gas and coal, we can use the current like infrastructure we have for the electrical grid. The biggest problem with solar and like wind power is that the grid that we have, it wouldn't work if we converted to those like across the board. So there will definitely have to be some infrastructure changes, but
Even then, just like geographically, like so and just aren't viable for all parts of the U.S. Like
yeah,
some
I mean,
places
you're right.
it just rains too much, or it's just overcast too much, and some places it just doesn't. It's not windy enough. So, but fun fact, which I just remembered. Are you guys familiar with the company called Cummins? They make diesel motors. They've been around for probably 100 years at this point.
No, I don't know if I've heard of them.
Gabe, have you heard of them?
I just hear rednecks always reference Cummins motors as being the best motors, but I don't know much about it.
Oh, you have heard of it. Nice.
They are, yeah. So they are some of the like best diesel motors you can buy, generally speaking. Cummins actually came out with a big rig motor. It's like a 14 liter or 15-liter motor, so very big motor that runs on hydrogen
Huh.
or big rig trucks, like liquid hydrogen or something. I don't really know how it works or anything, but yeah, so that's pretty cool seeing one of the biggest diesel motor companies coming out with something that burns hydrogen that's actually, you know, more viable than having electric cars, you know.
Where do you get the liquid hydrogen for fuel from?
I don't know.
What type of container does that come in?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Have you seen the vehicles that run on propane?
I mean, yeah, before.
I think that's terrifying because I don't know what they do to like convert the engine to burn propane, but they literally just like hook up. Like I think I've seen it just with like pickup trucks, but you could do it with any vehicle. But they literally just hook up like a propane tank and like they stick it in the bed of their truck, which is terrifying to me. Like you get in a car wreck and that thing explodes. That's a bad scenario. But I think burning propane is a lot cleaner than gasoline, and the engine, it's easier on the engine too. I think just like diesel engines last a lot longer.
What was I gonna say? You went on a tangent. Oh yeah, so if people actually like realized how flammable gasoline was, they'd probably feel the same way about it.
Gasoline, no, you're right. Yeah, gasoline's terrifying. Diesel like is super hard to ignite, like not nearly as scary as far as
I actually did a funny. I was proving a point to some guys at work. It was no, we were in the field, I guess, and I had a fuel can next to me. I was like, "Hey guys, you want to see me put out a match in this fuel can?" They didn't think I would do it because it was diesel. I was like, "Oh, I'll do it. It's fine." I lit a match, went out, no problem. It was funny. And they were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you did that." I was like, "It's diesel. It's like an oil. It doesn't ignite easily at all."
It'll be really funny when that match finds itself in the interior of an engine of a generator or a vehicle somewhere, and then it's destroyed because of your negligence.
I held on to it. I didn't think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
God, what kind of guy do you think I am?
A pretty bad one, if we're being honest.
That's just rude.
Yeah, I just remember seeing the videos of this dude who took like a blowtorch to gasoline, jet fuel, diesel. I feel like he may have had one other thing, but like he couldn't get the diesel to ignite, which was crazy. I think he did maybe after like a while holding over, but
you know what else about jet fuel? It's also kind of in a similar category to diesel.
Yeah.
It doesn't melt steel beams.
Don't go there.
That was just a funny joke I had. Sorry, couldn't help it.
This leads us into Jordan's prompts. Actually, do you want to open that up, or do you want to look at your phone some more? Son of a fucking bitch!
I'm not playing with my phone.
I don't trust you anymore. So good old J Shelb, previous guest, Gabe. Of course, you know Jordan. He sent us some prompts that we can talk about on the podcast. First one I feel like we should start with. Are there any conspiracy theories that you believe are true? Let's start with you, Christian. Let's hash out this jet fuel and steel beams thing.
No, I don't really have any knowledge on that other than it's possible. But anyway, mine is Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah.
That's the one I believe in.
You know, we've talked about that before, and I mistakenly made a joke about 2 shots to the back of his head. That was someone different. So Jeffrey Epstein hung himself allegedly, but they didn't find any like rope or like shoelaces or anything in the room. It was someone else that was like found with like a couple shots to the back of their head. That
was another CIA job years ago.
I think it was like a witness in some investigation, but it wasn't Epstein. Anyway, so that's your conspiracy.
He's not dead, or he's dead, but he didn't kill himself.
He's not dead. He just went home. um, Man, I don't know. I'll have to think about mine. I got one. I haven't spent a ton of time researching this one, but it's something I've been reading about more lately with ancient Egypt. So like a small minority of scientists, and I mean like just a few people, think that the Sphinx in Egypt actually predates the pyramids by like 3 or 4 thousand years, and they think it was built by a totally different civilization because it looks like there's weathering that's caused by rain. And if you look back like 10,000 years ago, Egypt in that area was more of like a rainforest, like just a ton of precipitation at that time, very wet. And then like whatever 10 or 9,000 years ago, it started the shift to becoming like more of a desert like it is today. So based on what we know of like what that area looked like 10,000 years ago, and I don't know how much they've done with like carbon dating of the Sphinx, but anyway, they think that's like 10,000 years old, whereas the pyramids are like 4 or 5 thousand years old. So like twice as old. So that's one interesting conspiracy that I think I believe in. I haven't looked into that a lot though, but it's kind of fun to believe in. But also, you can look up. I think I may have referenced this before in the podcast. Göbekli Tepe. I may be saying that wrong. It's spelled like it sounds, probably. A site discovered in Turkey. They found a bunch of like chunks of rocks. Like it's kind of like it looks like a temple, but there's like 20-ton pieces of rocks that were buried underneath this mound. And it's been dated to be like 10 to 12,000 years old, which is crazy, way older than the pyramids, which, like I said, are like 4,000 years old or something, 4 or 5,000 years old. So it predates the pyramids by like whatever 5 or 6 thousand years, which is wild. Yeah, huge temple, like 20-ton pieces of rock that were clearly cut and brought to that area from far away. Like the pieces of rock are not local, but at that time, we had previously thought that there were only hunter gatherers. So some scientists say, well, like, yeah, hunter gatherers happened to make this. And some scientists say, like, why would hunter gatherers ever make such like an incredible site with large pieces of stone? Like there had to be some type of civilization here. So maybe that pushes back our timeline for when there were civilizations present, if you're into that type of thing. But anyway, those are my conspiracies. Gabe?
I saw a Nat Geo documentary about that. I'll see if I can find it.
Göbekli Tepe is wild. I mean, it's definitely like super, super old. The only argument is whether or not there was real civilization, which would require agriculture.
Yeah.
So if it was built by like a civilization and not hunter gatherers, then that means that agriculture is actually older than we thought, which kind of like leads to like the real conspiracy here, which is that I believe that there was a very modern civilization, more modern than like the Egyptians, and that we know to be around, that was around at that time, that didn't make it through. So anyway,
So
Gabe, you got any fun conspiracies?
You just reminded me of part of a Netflix series that I watched with Graham Hancock. It's called Ancient Apocalypse. It's relatively new.
That's what I was thinking of.
I figured that's what you were thinking of. The guy, he's
Yeah.
always on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Nice.
He's an
Yeah.
archaeologist.
That's the guy that I've heard talk about this.
Okay, yeah. He's the one who's really into all of it.
Yeah.
He talks about I've watched most of that Netflix series, so I've heard a bunch of those stories already.
It's pretty cool. And I've seen like the pictures, and it does look like he talks about the like massive flooding, like about like around 10,000 years ago and other times, and how there's like evidence of the landscape that there was this massive flood, which is also like shown in many different cultures, like not just like in the Bible that talks about flooding, but other cultures have stories of flooding, which is kind of like anecdotal evidence of something like that. But I think that's super cool. There's something to that for sure.
Did you see the episode with the road under like at the bottom of the ocean floor off the coast of Florida, connecting Bahamas and Florida? They're like perfectly massive stones that date back like you said, like 10,000 years long before ancient civilization
Huh.
that we know of, and they're like perfectly placed into a long stretch of road that's several miles long, right there. That a lot of people think like Atlantis or some ancient city was there.
That's super cool. No, I hadn't seen that. I have heard this guy talk about Atlantis though, and he explained in some sciencey way that convinced me at the time that based on like the water levels and the pressure, that actually like a mini continent in the Atlantic somewhere could have been above land that's underwater now because of like the levels of the water. So basically 10 years ago or 10,000 years ago, 10 years ago, that's funny. 10,000 years ago, he thinks there's massive flooding. So the earth had been warming and a bunch of water was trapped like around the poles and in these glaciers. And then at some point, like that water was separated, caused massive flooding. So because of that influx of water and the pressure, the massive pressure that it had on the land, it could have caused a landmass in the Atlantic to be like kind of pushed under. And there was the rising sea levels as well. And like that, when he theorized that that would have happened, actually it lines up with the dates that Plato talked about in his writing of when Atlantis was a civilization. So there's some, maybe I think it was Plato. It could have been some other ancient person, but yeah, there's some like ancient philosopher that talks about Atlantis like it was a real civilization. So
And that's the exact place where the road is too, where the place that would have been above ground, above sea level.
Yeah, that's super cool. I think that's really interesting. It's cool to think about. The biggest thing that kind of convinced me, at least that it was possible, is think about like how far technology has progressed in like 500 years, right? So in like the 1500s, like crossbows were like the most advanced technology, right? I mean, maybe gunpowder was around at that time. But like it's crazy how far technology has progressed. So the idea of like the lost technology that we needed to build the pyramids and the Sphinx. And I don't know, the idea of like a civilization that was much more advanced than we thought there was 10,000 years ago isn't so crazy when you think about how far civilization has progressed in the last 500 years. So,
Totally.
anyway, it's kind of fun. Joe Rogan always says in his podcast, it's entirely possible that, and then he says something like super ludicrous that sometimes there's like no reason to believe is true, but it's entirely possible that Atlantis is real. That's what I'm going to say.
Was that it, Gabe? Was that your conspiracy you think is real?
No, I don't know about that one. I was just going off Toby's.
Oh,
I don't think this is real, but I thought it was interesting. Someone told me about it recently because I never heard about it before. So maybe the listeners might find this interesting.
Mom, Dad.
But Denver International Airport. Have you heard the conspiracy theories around that?
I don't think so.
Actually, yeah, I think so. Go further, and I'll chime in if I have.
So there's a bunch of stuff about the Denver International Airport. So
Is it about the underground bunker at it? And it's got that weird thing in the floor. I don't remember any of it. Was it Masonic maybe or?
those are both theories.
Yeah.
But one of the bigger theories is that there's a bunch of underground layers, levels. Actually, this is true. There is a bunch of underground levels, and no one really knows what's down there or what they're used for. And no one actually knows the full like blueprints, the layout of the entire airport. It's one of the biggest airports in the world, landscape wise. I think it's the second biggest in the world. It's very spread out, and they kept switching builders like throughout the construction process of it. So no one actually knows the whole big picture of it.
Yeah.
And it also ended up costing like several $billions more than was initially planned. And they never had any really good explanation why it was costing so much more money. But it was like ridiculous how much more money they ended up spending on it. Anyways, there were some people that were investigating it after it was built, one lady in particular. And she, I guess, somehow got access, or I can't remember the whole story how she got down there, but she went down underneath to where a lot of the secrets people thought were, and she ended up dead the next day, killed herself or something. That was weird.
Ooh, scary.
They say it's the only airport in the world that has the the fence with a barbed wire fence facing in instead of facing out. Like it almost looks like it's designed to keep people in instead of
Yeah.
designed to keep people out, like all other airports. So people think could be used someday as like a concentration camp if we ever went to war or something like that. And it's so large and has like the secret bunkers and it's got the barbed wire fence to keep people in. If you take a bird's eye view of it too, it's also in the shape of a swastika. I don't know if it's a
Yes.
coincidence
Well,
or what.
I think that sort of makes sense though with how
Yeah.
things need to depart and approach and take off on it. So I guess that's
Um, there's a connection with Illuminati too. A bunch of the paintings are very strange in the artwork. People have connected to Illuminati and weird things. There's
yeah.
there's also I can't remember the exact organization that it's dedicated to. I think it's the word. Yeah, the dedication stone in one of the main hallways is dedicated to an organization that doesn't even exist and never existed before. And the words of the organization that is dedicated to have like some weird connection with the Illuminati. It's very bizarre why they would dedicate an airport to something that never existed. And underneath the dedication stone, it's said to believe that there's a time capsule that we're supposed to open in like 2028 or something. And that's supposed to have a lot of the secrets inside of it.
Nice. I can't believe I haven't heard of that. That's a fun
Oh,
one.
yeah,
I have to check it
pretty
out.
good. It's pretty interesting.
I don't know
Spooky.
if I got all the facts right, but that is more or less the story. You can Google it
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, so I saw a Netflix documentary or something about it, Gabe, and you danced around most all the topics. I think I think there was a lot of like Masonic / Illuminati kind of stuff. You know, that fun stuff you watch on a late night. Um, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. We need to get a really big earth mover and go in there ourselves and find out.
I thought it was a cool one that no one really knows about.
Yeah.
The people I've asked about it since I learned about it, like no one's known what that was.
Mhm.
It's not really well known for some reason.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. That sounds cool. I don't even know if I've ever used the Denver airport.
I don't think I have. Mm-mm.
I don't know. Pretty cool. Pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. What were Jay Shelb's other questions?
Yeah, let me pull it up. If you could eat only 3 foods for the rest of your life, what would they be? And be specific as possible when defining food.
I
I'll
think
go
that's pretty clear.
first.
Why
I'm
do you
gonna
have to?
say bananas, steak, and peanut butter to go by itself or with the bananas, or maybe even on the steak. I feel like chunky peanut butter on a steak wouldn't be so bad. I don't know if you ever had like a peanut butter burger. It's always better if it's chunky peanut butter. I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, steak, bananas, peanut butter.
Some protein, carbs, and fat. Get all
You got everything you need. It's pretty well rounded.
That's a tough one, but not really. Steaks of any type of animal. Uh,
No, he said be specific as possible. So for me,
Oh.
I'm gonna say beef steak. I don't
Okay.
care what cut.
just to be different, I'll say elk steaks because they're delicious.
They're so lean.
They're good.
You should go with moose. If you're gonna go with something that's not domesticated, you should go with moose.
Okay, I'll go with moose. I don't know. Have I had moose? I might have. I don't know. I'll have moose steaks. Um, spinach.
Yeah, you and your spinach, man. You just eat it raw like a
I
weirdo.
love spinach, dude. I had a spinach salad the other night. It was busting.
Did you have anything on it, or was it just spinach?
It was just leaves.
You're a freak, man.
No, I had some chicken and some other, salad toppings on it. Yeah, that spinach and probably like I don't eat a lot of fruit, so maybe what's fatty? Avocado. Yeah,
All right, very utilitarian, but I'll take it.
you got all your food groups there, or all the important ones, I think.
Gabe, what do you think?
chicken, apples, ice cream.
That's fair.
I respect that. What type of ice cream?
Cookie dough, vanilla, chocolate chip.
Ooh, good. No, you got to choose one.
Chocolate chip cookie dough. That's like a thing. That's one.
Oh, okay. Well, you said vanilla in there. I thought
That's a good one. So you could actually make two out of that. You could pull the cookie dough out and then make cookies with it. That's utilitarian. As
I don't think you could make cookies with whatever. What are there any varieties of apple that you like in particular?
Honey crisp.
Honeycrisp. All right, I respect that. It's a good variety. All right, prompt number 3. If you could have anyone, dead or alive, as a guest on the podcast, who would it be and why? Christian?
Oh, don't start with me. That's gonna take a while to think about.
Obama feels like the easy answer for me because we've talked about him all on the podcast. But I'm actually going to go with, I'm forgetting his name. On the Sphinx, there's a face of one of the Egyptian emperors or whatever they were called. But it's pretty well, I think it's well established that his face was added on there after the Sphinx was built. But anyway, I'd want to talk to that dude and ask him, what's up with the Sphinx, man? How long has it been around? What's the word? What's the word on that? So
You just want to know about ancient sculpture.
I want to know about ancient civilizations, man. I want to know if it's all real or not. Because he might know if Atlantis was real. He'd definitely know. Well, he'd know better than me when the Sphinx was made. But maybe he'd lie. Who knows? I'm assuming too that I could speak with him and we would understand each other because he spoke ancient Egyptian, presumably. I don't know any Egyptian or Semitic or Coptic languages, so we might have a tough time talking. But yeah, that's who I'm going to go with. Whatever. Oh, Pharaoh. Pharaoh is the word I was looking for. So whoever that Pharaoh is, his face is on the Sphinx. It's my answer.
I'm just gonna go with Jesus.
That was what I was about to say. Jesus, I feel like would be a good one. Yeah.
It's also an easy one, because like Jesus is a pretty prolific guy. I feel like everyone would say some sort of religious entity of some sort.
Most documented person in human history.
That's fair. Who would mine? Mine would probably, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, you gotta say the why. Give us some why for why you would want Jesus. I said that my curiosity is just like ancient civilizations, what that looked like. I'd also want to ask about the technology, how they built the pyramids, of course. Yeah.
I mean, just to answer all of my questions.
Yeah, that's fair.
That were left to be accepted by reason of faith and not explained.
Yeah.
Like, what's heaven like?
So what's up with that? Christian?
What? I'm thinking. So it's a toss-up between two guys. One guy was a martyr. One guy, I don't know how he died, but they're both dead. One being the Tiananmen Square guy who stood in front of the tanks.
Yeah.
Seen those photos. I would just want to talk to that guy and talk about how big his balls are. And then there was another guy. His name escapes me. But there was, oh God, I cannot remember his name.
Well, you got to pick one. You can't talk to both of them.
Well, so they're both just really cool people. All right, I'll just pick the Tiananmen Square guy because he's got what America needs, and that is
oil.
All right, George Bush.
I love those. I love all the oil memes, man. They crack me up.
They're funny. They're true too.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. He's got what America needs: some balls and a backbone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see his balls in the picture? Are they like poking out through his pants?
So he was carrying 2 bags, I think, and I think they were covering his genitalia
Oh,
from the appropriate angle needed to see how big they are.
all right.
Yeah, it'd have to be the Tiananmen Square guy. That guy's a gangster.
I respect that.
Yeah,
I think that's a good choice.
I'm pretty sure he's dead now.
Well, that was a little bit ago, so and a lot of people died at that event.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
He was probably one of them at some point. I don't know. I should know that, but I don't.
It was called a massacre, so not a great time to be in that place as a civilian.
Oh. Those are some good questions. I think we need to thank Mr. J. Shelp formally for all the great questions he's given to us.
Well, we got to have Jordan back on. So I looked at the YouTube analytics. And so that our average watch time per video is like 12 minutes, which is not very good since most of our videos are like 90 minutes to 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours. But for the one with Jay Shell, the average watch time was 18 minutes, so 50% longer, that's a big improvement.
Big jump.
So we might have to have him on. Might have to have him on again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to invite him over one week, and we're going to do it live. Me, Jay Shelb, talking to you. I think.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. That'd be good to have like people together. I feel like it's easy to talk. Like with this, like you kind of like interrupt each other, and like sometimes it's kind of awkward with the exchanges, or like like I had a bad internet connection earlier and kind of cut out for a second, but. It'd be cool if we were together in person. I feel like you guys are gonna have to sit like super close though, and it's gonna be.
Well, we could like maybe push the laptop out a ways. I don't know. I got plenty of sitting room. He could be. How can you hear me well from here?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, perfect. Then there's plenty of room. We got it. You just want to see my big beautiful mustache so close.
Well, we'll just get a close up at some point in the podcast.
Oh yeah.
We've got over 1,300 views total for YouTube.
Our Instagram page has more followers than our YouTube page. I don't understand that.
I think just more people have Instagram accounts than people have YouTube accounts.
That could be an explanation.
Yeah.
But I specifically told them to follow us if they want to. So it didn't work. We're still at like 26 or something, 25.
I mean, that's pretty good, man. It's better than I thought we would have, to be honest. We average like 150 views per video. That's great.
Is there anyone you guys don't know that follows you yet? Like a random person?
Yeah, random ass. Whoever the fuck you are.
Yeah. I think they may just be bots, to be honest. But
I'm not mad about it though.
Hey man, a follow is a follow. Like Christian and I have said, we are morally flexible.
We don't care.
We need some sponsors.
I was gonna say y'all need some sponsors for sure. Y'all need to bring a big name onto the podcast to really blow it up.
Like a big name person?
Yeah, bring on like a Barack Obama.
So I mentioned
we could get Obama. That's like my life goal. If we could get Obama on the podcast.
I messaged Ronda Rousey. She hadn't gotten back to me yet though.
That jerk.
I know. I told her she could kick my butt on the internet if she wanted to.
Yeah.
I've sold my body to, before, so it won't be anything new for me.
No doubt. Is she still doing WWE?
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
All right. I mean, that's what she was doing for
Ronda Rousey. Out of all the people in the world, why would you think of her?
Because she's famous and she kicks ass. Duh.
I don't know why we thought it. We were talking about her recently on one of the podcasts. I don't know. I don't remember how it came up. She's a badass woman, though. I gotta respect that.
I mean, I wouldn't want to get in the ring with her. She'd knock my ass back to why fucking Oming. That'd be terrible.
No question.
It'd be funny, but at least for people watching, but it'd be terrible for me.
Yeah.
She's cool.
She's a killer, man. You gotta respect that.
I don't know if she's a killer, but she's definitely a fighter.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's got to correct.
I hate to say anything controversial, but I'm going to say it anyways. Do you actually think she would beat you up?
I have no doubt that she would
I have
beat the
no
shit out of
doubt.
Christian.
I would have to bring a knife or a gun or something to stand a chance. I might get a few hits in. I'm a pretty strong guy, but she's been doing it for a while. There's a reason she's doing what she's doing.
So Christian is for sure stronger than her for like pure physical strength, but like muscular endurance, Ronda Rousey probably has the upper hand. For cardiovascular endurance, she may have the upper hand, but just like the skill and technique is huge. You know, the gap between skill, like Christian has a little bit because you've probably done like a little bit of combative stuff.
I've had my ass kicked before. I know how to die.
But that's just like her striking and grappling skills is just like not even close. So even if Christian is significantly stronger, I don't think it matters. Yeah. Like Christian said, like if he gets lucky, he might get some good licks in, but like he can't kick like she can. Probably can't kick effectively at all. No offense. I mean, I know I can't, but you probably punch pretty good.
I could kick her in the no-no squares, but that wouldn't do much good. I don't know.
No squares?
These are my no-no squares. You never heard that?
You remember when the women's national team, soccer team, this was right before they won the World Cup, whatever that
if
was.
I don't watch women's sports, I'll be honest with you.
6-7 years ago, whenever that was. The best women's soccer team in the world.
Yeah.
And in preparation for the World Cup, they played against the U15 boys team from Dallas, Texas. And they lost 5-2.
Yep. I remember that.
They're like 14-year-old boys in Dallas put together a team that could beat the best women's soccer team in the world.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it's different though with fighting.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Yes. Have you watched her fight?
Yeah.
I mean, she's fast, man. She's quick and she can land a punch.
Looks quick because she's hitting other girls.
Yeah, but she also knows how to like take a punch too. Like she's taken a lot of punches and she can like fight through that. And like Christian hasn't taken many punches.
Not as many as her. I've taken quite a few, but not as many as Ronda.
Yeah, I think he'd be off guard a little bit the first few hits at least, and yeah.
Maybe.
But that would get us a lot of views, and that's all I care about. So
only one way to find out. Y'all should just fight.
Celebrity fight. Let's do it.
Let's go. We're almost celebrities, whatever.
Well, she is a celebrity. You are not.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We could be though.
Maybe one day. Who are some other people? I was actually thinking about this recently. I was like, if I could have people on the podcast that were reasonable to get on, that were kind of famous, who would they be? And I didn't come up with anything good, to be honest. So I don't know where I was going with that. Christian, what you got, man? Who are we gonna?
I was waiting for like a list of all the famous people you knew, and it was just
it turns out I really don't know any famous people. Audrey Spikes is the most famous person that I know. She's got some reels on Instagram that have millions of views. I don't know how many followers she has, but a lot more than me. So she's like kind of Instagram famous, but
the girl you had on here.
Yeah, Audrey Spikes. Yeah, we had her on.
That's why you used her.
What's that?
You used this friend of yours to try to get more followers.
Absolutely. We were pretty upfront about it, though. We told her, it's like, hey, we're just here because of your Instagram famousness. So
it's true.
We actually only got an average amount of views for that video, for that podcast, which is a bummer because I thought it was super good. I thought it was really interesting. I actually like rewatched it later because I thought it was really informative. What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing at my dog being a lap dog on Avery.
Oh, so cute.
That's pretty adorable.
When are we gonna have Avery on the podcast? Does she want to come on and say something?
She's right there. She's
right here.
I know you're right there. Avery, do you want to come on and show yourself and say something? Show yourself to the world?
Come on. She's coming.
Bring the puppy.
She's bringing the dog.
Oh,
no,
you got to. That's how we get the views, is the dog. No offense, Avery. Nice. There she is. What's up?
Hey.
How are things?
Pretty good. I just got back from a happy hour.
Ooh, happy hour. Nice.
Yep.
What's your drink of choice?
So Yeah.
There we go.
I went for a classier drink. I went for a Cabernet.
Okay.
You know, I was around coworkers.
Yeah, classic white girl, but I'll take it.
Just whatever. Can't just get, a White Claw around these people
Why not?
because I'd be judged.
Would you?
Yes.
I don't know. My dad works in finance, and he jokes about one of his coworkers that drinks White Claws at
Also,
like work events.
I wasn't paying for it, so I'm gonna not get a White Claw because it's free.
I feel like a White Claw would be cheaper than wine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it seems like it's more respectful to get a White Claw because it's cheaper.
No. I'm gonna get the more expensive route because I'm not paying for it.
Oh, okay, I see. So you're a bad person. I didn't take that into account. That makes sense. Look at that pupper.
Pepperoni. This is like his third debut on the internet. He's got a face for radio though, but he's cute.
Ouch. He's grown so much. I remember when he was just a little pupper. He was like this big.
Yeah.
No, he's not anymore.
Now he's like a full doggo. Gabe, are you a dog person?
I would say that I'm a dog
Just talk
person.
about his puppy, you idiot.
Christian, I hate you.
That's fair.
All right, what else? What else we got?
Gabe met Theo.
I did.
Have you? Am I the only one here that hasn't met Theo?
Yeah.
That's pretty
You'll
lame.
meet him at-
She'll come down in a couple weeks. I'm going to Birmingham in a couple weeks. She should come down.
Actually, Christian, when are you? We talked about Mardi Gras. When are you going? When are you going down to Mobile? Because if I could come by and see you as I'm driving down, that would be cool. Or I can just talk to you down there.
The 16th and staying that weekend.
The 16th. I think that's what I'm going down.
Word. Are you driving?
Yeah, I'm just gonna drive down. I took like 5 or 6 days off, but it's also a long weekend that weekend. Yeah, let me see. Man, I got too many text messages in my phone.
What a weird flex.
I don't like it. I don't like texting or talking to people at all, if I'm being honest.
Are you gonna look at the camera? Come on, look at the. He doesn't care. Hey Toby, why don't you get off your phone?
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah, the 16th is when the ball that I'm going to is.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna drive down on the 15th. So get there the night of the 15th.
We're going to the ball on the 17th, Friday.
Okay. I think that's the 17th, right?
Yes.
Friday the 17th.
Yep.
Well, I'll hit you guys up when I'm down there so we can hang out.
I'd be insulted if you didn't come over.
Well, to be honest, I don't like you. So I go to see the doggo in Avery though. And
You
Gabe.
All right. Well, I'm glad I'll see you then.
I might see you. We'll see.
All right.
I'll hit up your parents for sure. I like them a lot.
They're
fun.
They're a lot cooler than me.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
Hey, dog. So we're live right now.
We're live.
Oh,
We're not live. Christian, that's supposed to be my joke. You can't take my joke from me. We do need to do a live podcast. It's super easy to do on YouTube. We haven't
next week.
Yeah, we haven't released the one with Morgan. I just need to do that and then do this one.
All right.
It just takes a few hours for the file to convert to whatever it needs to be to publish it. So it doesn't take much that long as far as work for me, but it takes a minute for Zoom to convert the file. And I'll be honest, I'm not good with technology. I never felt like an old man until we started doing this podcast, and I get real angry right away when I don't figure something out, and that's tough. We need someone that can produce the podcast for us.
Why are you pointing at me?
She can do it.
Avery, we have dozens of viewers. We're kind of a big deal.
She's a big tech girl. She can do it.
I think Kelsey would be a great option.
Kelsey would be great. We have talked about it. We talked about it like on the podcast, like me and you, Christian. I think I brought it up with her when I was texting, and she didn't give me like a strong yes. She didn't give me like a strong answer either way. So I felt weird asking her, but maybe I can just guilt trip her into helping us out because I do not like it. I do not like that part. Even though we don't edit, just like the time it takes to like convert the file and upload and like add the video description. I don't like it. I do like drinking with you and recording it.
I do too. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially when I'm drinking Smirnoff Ice.
What?
I told him I got ice.
See, she judged me for that. If we get sponsored by Smirnoff Ice, it'd be a game changer.
I like Smirnoff. I just haven't seen it in a while.
I love it. I buy it at this 7-Eleven just down the street. And honestly, I think they stock it just for me.
Oh, perfect.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
The guys that work there are super nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Toby, we just got a Sam's membership. Kelsey gave it to me for Christmas.
Nice.
And I'm going to buy you a pallet of Smirnoff.
A pallet? That'll last me a whole week. That'll be great.
A whole week? Wow, that's not good.
Nah, only from I gotta drink a lot right now because I'm trying to prep for Mardi Gras. We're gonna be drinking like the whole day.
All day.
Yeah. You just gotta do it.
Mardi Gras is crazy, man. I'll be honest though, I've never really enjoyed the parades. I just don't get that into it. It's like stinky, everyone's real drunk, everything's sticky.
So I think I don't know. I've noticed that in Mobile, but not so much in Baldwin County.
Yeah, but like the Baldwin County, like there's so few people, it's kind of lame. Like you don't have to work to get throws.
It's a trade-off.
You're right. You're right.
I prefer the not so busy one.
Yeah, you worked at didn't we work together at Mardi Gras balls? Didn't like remember? I feel like Mr. Hernandez hired us because he was like in charge of having like people for doing random stuff. I feel like we did that a couple of times, didn't we?
We did something for like a Mardi Gras ball or something. We were like, were we not like the Trash Boys or the?
I think we were like the Trash Boys. Yeah, like we like set stuff up, we put things out, and then we would regularly like change the trash out, and like I think we'd like pick some trash up off the ground, and
I remember that.
I feel like we had to have done other stuff, but honestly, I mostly think we were just like taking the trash out regularly. That may have, looking back on it, that may have been it. But we made some money that night.
Made pretty good money if I remember right.
I think so too. I also remember Mr. Hernandez handing us the envelope, and he was like, "Please count it," and it was kind of awkward, but he was like very insistent that we count it to make sure that he was paying us fairly. But I don't know. That's just like stuck in mind. Like, please count it. And then he like handed the envelope to the next guy. Please count it. And then he handed it to the next guy. Please count it. Anyway, nice man. Strong mustache.
I'm coming for him though. I'm coming for you, Henry.
Ayo.
I might have him beat now. Mine's.
You got a pretty big stash, man. I got to be honest though. The lighter skin that you have, the worse the mustache looks on average.
Well, so that's just the lighting in here. In person, it looks magnificent.
I trust you, man. But I'm just saying, if you have real dark skin, you can get away with like a pencil thin mustache. And it looks good. When you're white, like really white, like you and I are, if you have like a pencil thin mustache, looks real bad, man. Looks like you should just be locked up right away.
True. Good thing mine's good and thick.
Well, you got a good bushy mustache, that's for sure. I think you should do the handlebar. I think you should just expand it to that.
Yeah, I'm not into that. I don't swing that.
I'm into it. Avery, what do you think?
I was just saying that Christian uses self tanner.
That has nothing to do with mustache.
He uses what?
Self tanner.
Self tanner? That's funny because you're still so white.
Well, it was an accident.
It's not working.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. I saw that mark on his hand, and I was wondering what that was. I didn't want to ask because it felt private. That's the self tanner. Where are you putting it, Christian? Where are you putting the self tanner?
I thought it was moisturizer, and sorry, it's not that funny.
It's really funny.
Oh, it's pretty good. It's pretty funny.
I was like, oh my god, is my face doing that for my moisturizer? It took 3 days to figure it out.
That's pretty good, man. This just makes me think of when we were kids. I was hanging out with you, and you took a shower and you put conditioner in your hair, but you left it in, and you walked out of the bathroom and your hair was like so slimy.
What did you do?
Kelsey and I were like, "What is in your
didn't know
hair?"
what
And you're
to
like,
do.
"Oh, I just tried using some conditioner." And we're like,
It was my
"You gotta
first-
wash it out, you doofus."
It was my first time with conditioner.
We were so mean to you about that, and I almost feel bad about it, but it was really funny, so I don't actually feel bad about it.
That's
but
fair. I get it.
Kids are ruthless, man. I'll tell you what.
You know, Gabe, you're really not contributing much to this podcast.
Oof,
You showing off them guns, though.
blasted.
Ugh.
I was just thinking about all the childhood stories, and there's so many different ones that we could bring up from grade school across the King. I was trying to think of my oldest memory of y'all,
Yeah.
and I think it's when you, Christian, and Jordan acted like those. What are those cartoon characters?
Is this Ed, Ed, and Eddie?
Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Yeah. I think that's my earliest memories of you guys back in third grade when y'all thought you were Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Who was Ed, and Eddie?
I have no idea. I remember that. I don't even remember like who was who on the show.
We were just idiots.
Was Eddie the dumb one that was also super strong, and like one time he ripped like
That's Ed.
Ed
Ed was
one
the
of the
big
Eds.
strong guy. Yeah.
I'm convinced that
Hang on, I remember Ed with one D was the big strong guy. Ed with two D's was the little retard who ran around like me like that.
yeah.
Eddie was the guy who kind of reminds me of a used car salesman.
Okay. I feel like you were the big strong one, and I was the little retarded one, and then Jordan was the used car salesman one. Just based purely off of like our size at the time.
That's fair. Good
Because I was not as big as, well, I don't know. You and I were, I don't remember how tall we were in comparison of each other. Jordan's obviously taller than us now, and he was taller than us then, I think.
Probably.
I don't know, Gabe. I just remember us calling you Spider Monkey when we played football. That's like my earliest memory of you, maybe, is us calling you Spider Monkey. And it was exclusive. It was exclusively because you were somewhat more flexible than the rest of us. And like that was it. Like I remember us like watching you when we were doing stretching, you were a little bit more flexible and you were like kind of quick when we played football. Like that was it. So we called you Spider Monkey. So
I always wondered why you called me Spider Monkey.
that was it, man. It was because you were like a little bit more flexible than the rest of us, and you were like relatively quick. I don't know if that makes sense. I've never really seen a spider monkey in action, but
they're fast. Toby, did you hear what Avery said?
no.
She was like, "You just love calling people names, don't you?"
I do like nicknames. Yes.
The whole like atheist thing.
Yeah. How did that come about, Avery? Do you remember that? Do you remember when we started calling you the atheist and why?
You started it.
Did you say I started it?
You did.
I what? I was such a nice kid in high school.
That's
I
a
would
lie.
never start something with a mean connotation like that.
Who started it?
I want to say Lee Levitt.
Oh, probably.
Quit licking.
I had life team, I had youth group.
And Life Team. Yeah, I also remember this is like a key, like distinct memory in my mind. I remember we were talking about you to someone. You just like came up in conversation and someone was like, "Who is that?" And Lee Levitt was like, "Yeah, you know, like she's hot. She looks like Jamie." And then he got like super embarrassed right away.
Weird.
Yeah, I remember that. I was there for that. I think it was
she's hot. You know, she looks like Jamie. It's like, whoa, let's back up
Oh,
there.
youth
Let's
director.
back up.
I remember that. That was
Yeah,
totally.
dude. That was like, that's a key memory of mine. Lee calling our youth minister hot. And you, obviously, Avery. So
I don't see the resemblance.
that was funny. That was a good time, man. That was good.
I haven't thought about that in a while. That's funny.
Like these sweet Catholics just are so nice, and then now I'm called atheist. Like what?
I think it was literally just because you weren't Catholic.
Yeah, I know.
So we called you an atheist. So makes sense.
That's what you do in a cult. You make fun of people who aren't in your cult, you know.
You got to, man. That's how you keep people in.
Yeah.
Totally, I get it.
It's an us versus them type of scenario. You got to make it really tribal, right away. Either you're in or you're out. You're a winner or you're a
I
loser.
was out.
You were out,
Loud
obviously.
and clear.
You were out, obviously, as an
Got it.
atheist. Even though you were hot like Jamie, you were out.
Gone.
Didn't help.
Speaking of nicknames in high school, your listeners do know who gave you the nickname Toby, right?
I don't know if we've talked about that. We talked about Christian's name, Mango. I don't know if we talked about Toby, but yeah, you were the one who started the name Toby, and I'll be honest, I can't believe that made it from high school to college and beyond. So
To the podcast.
Good job.
to the
Gabe.
to the podcast. Yeah. I actually have people in the army who call me Toby, but just people I commissioned with at in college. So
Don't you go by Tom now?
I go by Tom now, yeah. It's just easier to go by the first name. Because people will occasionally call you by your first name in the military. And then for a while I would say like, oh, like I go by Alex, but it's just like awkward to like continually correct people. So I just started going by Tom. I don't care when people call me Alex though. I have family who I'll see and they're like, oh, like do you go by Tom now, right? Like, do you want me to call me Tom? It's like I don't care. I don't care. People call me Alex
I'm just gonna
or
call you-
Toby or Wiggles.
I'm just gonna call you dickhead and call it.
I've been called that before. I've been called that worse, or I've been called worse than that, rather. So
We've all been there.
yeah, we have. Yeah. No, I normally like when I meet people though, I normally introduce myself as Tom. Just kind of easier. Like I said, first name thing.
I always introduce myself as Gabriel, and they go, "Okay, Gabe, nice to meet you."
Really? Do you prefer Gabriel though? Like when you meet people, you prefer them to call you Gabriel?
I'm like you. I don't really care. I just think it's funny. People will always just assume that I go by Gabe.
Yeah.
I always introduce myself as Gabriel, but no one calls me that.
Yeah. So I introduce myself as Thomas a lot because I do like to use the actual name. If I'm like with friends and I'm meeting like a mutual friend, I'll say Tom. But in like professional type settings, I'll say Thomas. But people always ask me like, would you like Tom or Thomas? And it's like I don't care really. And they're like, no, like what do you prefer? What do you like? People are very insistent. They want to know what I prefer. So anyway, it's funny that people just call you Gabe though without asking.
You have an opportunity to like just freak out on them. Like, what did you call me?
Say, don't you dare call me by that name.
Ow. All right.
I just one day want someone to call me Papa Tom, and then I can say, no, Papa Tom is my father. Because that's a well-established name for him. So I'm looking forward to that day.
Papa Tom.
I'll probably have to be a father. Well, you can't just like throw it out of the blue. It's not sincere. So
All right, that's fair.
how dare you?
All right.
Even Avery knows better than that. She's an atheist. So, oh, big yawn.
He's big boy.
All right, Gabe. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about while you're on here? Any grievances about PT? Any stuff you like want the people to know about physical therapy or, medical things?
I wanted to hear more about your farm.
We can talk about that if you want.
I would love to hear more about it. That sounded very interesting to me. Like something I
Yeah.
would
So the plan right now, I'm gonna move to Pensacola, Florida. I want to do urban farming, which is where you farm like close to a city on like a small area. You focus on high rotation crops. So in particular, you got like leafy greens like lettuce, Christian's beloved spinach, kale, all that stuff from planting the seed to harvest. It's like 45 days, like pretty quick turnaround. And then leafy greens, you can usually take a few cuttings before the plant stops producing. So stuff like that, like radishes grow within a few weeks, carrots grow within a few weeks if you harvest them early. So I'd focus on like quick rotation crops like that, and then sell direct to consumer. So I'll probably have to start at farmers markets, even though I don't love that idea. But what I'd like to do is start what's called a community supported agriculture program, So it's kind of like people paying. It's like one of the subscription boxes that you get now. So you pay in for a subscription, and then like once a month or once every 2 weeks or whatever, I deliver like a box of vegetables or produce, whatever. And then I'm also going to look into selling to restaurants when I get there. Yeah, that's kind of the deal. I may get the organic certification if it makes sense, but it also costs like money and time to get the organic certification. But anyway, that's kind of it. Small scale farming. And then I'd also grow microgreens when I first get there because I'm going to get out of the army end of September this year. So it'll be a little bit late to try to like grow anything in the ground. So I'll grow microgreens indoors in little trays. Are you familiar with microgreens?
Not really.
So it's microgreens is kind of like a generic term for anything that you plant and harvest as like a sprout. So like bean shoots are pretty common. You know, when you get like pho and you got like the little shoots of stuff and like they're pretty popular on salads or sometimes people just use them as garnish. So anyway, they're pretty pricey, like per pound. So growing a bunch of microgreens can be pretty lucrative, but you got to be able to sell them. That's the biggest thing with like the microgreens and like the urban farming stuff. The producing the volume seems pretty easy. It seems like just the finding people to sell it to is the hard part. But for microgreens, you can grow a bunch of stuff. You can grow bean sprouts, like mung beans in particular are big, broccoli sprouts, corn sprouts, which is weird because like the sprouts taste just like sweet corn. And it's just like a really strange experience to eat like a little sprout that tastes just like sweet corn. Radishes, alfalfa. Those are probably the main ones right there. But anyway, I probably start with growing the microgreens indoors, which those are cool because you grow them in like a little tray that's only like 1.5 inches deep. So it takes very little soil. And the plant to harvest is like 7 to 14 days. So it's a super quick turnaround for planning to be able to harvest and sell them. So that's cool. There's not like for both that and the urban farming, there's not a big investment up front, which is kind of neat. So I'll be able to tell pretty quick if I'm making it work or not. And yeah, that's kind of the plan initially. I'd like to get into like fruit production, like having fruit orchards later down the road. That'd be cool. Olives in particular is something I'm interested in because people are starting to grow olives in the US because we obviously import most olives and olive oil. So there's a few people in Alabama in particular, probably some in Florida too, that grow olives, but I think that'd be kind of fun to grow. But yeah.
What's the process of getting, I don't know what department, federal agricultural department you'd have to go through to get approval to start selling and growing on like a large scale, even small scale basis?
Yeah, so you have to get like a grow license to be able to sell stuff. In particular, like so I'm moving to Pensacola, there's a farmer's market there, and they require like some specific like grow license from Florida. It's kind of just like a generic farming license, I think. I don't remember the cost. It's not very much to apply for it, but they have to come and like inspect your site and make sure that you're doing safe because you're not just growing, you're also harvesting and packaging before you're selling. So they got to come and like look at that whole process. But yeah, you just do an application. I think it takes like up to 4 weeks or something for that to be processed and approved. So it does take a little bit to do that, but I think it's like $25 or like $50 to apply for that license. So it's pretty straightforward. And then I'd have to apply for, like I said, I'd want to start at farmers markets. I'd have to apply to go to the farmers market, in which I have to like give them the grow license. And I think sometimes like they go and inspect your site to make sure that you're growing and harvesting and packaging in a way that's safe and healthy for people. So it's pretty straightforward. There's a couple steps. I'm also thinking about growing. I've been on a big fermenting kick lately. Like I've been fermenting some different nuts, red onions, and sauerkraut. Really like the sauerkraut in particular. So if I start with farmers markets, which I probably will, also probably try selling some of that stuff and seeing how how it goes. So since I'll be moving in the late fall, probably start with just the microgreens and then some of my fermented stuff, which I'd also have to have some type of food permit from Florida for, but it's a similar process to the grow permit, but it does take a few weeks to get that back. Yeah, so I'll be selling that stuff and kind of seeing how it goes. And then I don't know if I'm selling a bunch of like sauerkraut and fermented onions, and I'll expand that. And I have a bunch of like little ideas like that, I feel like. So I'll try a bunch of things and kind of like exploit success wherever I find it. That's the
What's the
plan.
startup cost for that? You got to get a walk-in cooler. You got to obviously buy all that property. I don't know how many acres are you looking at buying?
So I'd want 1/8 to half an acre to grow on, which is pretty easy. Yeah, it's super easy. Like I said, the microgreens can be done all indoors. You need very little space. I mean, you can just build like racks that have a bunch of lights. The electricity costs for microgreens would not be very much. If I'm growing like 20 to 40 trays of microgreens a month, which is kind of what I want to do, it might be like $50 extra on the electricity bill. Like it's pretty minimal. But for like growing vegetables and stuff in the ground, yeah, you only need like 1/8 to 1/4 of an acre. Like there are people that do full-time urban farming and they grow on 1/8 to 1/4 of an acre. So it's not very much.
Essentially a backyard.
Yeah, like a big backyard. So that's like I'm looking to buy a house with a big yard, and like that's it. I'm probably going to need some soil amendments because it's like a lot of clay in the soil there in Florida, which causes like oversaturation of water or like undersaturation, like the water just doesn't want to soak in. So depending on where I go, I may end up just like buying a bunch of like topsoil and like building raised beds. So if the soil quality is really bad and it's like $20 to get a soil test, you can actually take samples and send it to the University of Florida, and they'll do a test for you and they'll do an analysis of like the micronutrients that are in the soil. It's like $15 to $20 for that, which is pretty easy. So if the soil is really bad, I'll probably just build raised beds, which will take a little bit of time, but essentially I'll just be building the soil from the ground level up. So I'll buy a bunch of topsoil and get, I don't know, like wood or something to build like a raised bed, which will make it easier to harvest since it's a little bit above the surface. But honestly, like startup costs with like buying all the stuff that I need with the microgreens and then soil amendments, like there's like a cedar, the Yang cedar is apparently super helpful for planting when you're growing stuff in a garden at a larger scale. It's like a few $1,000s is what I'm looking at for startup costs. But also I'm planning on buying a house. So that's going to be the biggest cost. So I'll buy a house on a property with a big yard, probably like a few $1,000s for the startup costs other than that. And that's pretty much it. So it's a low startup, which is cool. And all the stuff I want to do is a pretty quick turnaround. So either I figure it out quickly or I quickly figure out that it's not working out for me. So,
but you're gonna need a cooler, like probably a walk-in.
I probably would need a walk-in cooler, but still, I don't think that'd be very much. Like maybe like $1,000, $2,000, depending on what I get, but not too much.
Also, I worked at Allegri for like 12 years. So
you did. That's right.
A relationship with the owner and manager there. Like we're super close. I got lunch with them the other day.
Yeah.
So if you ever wanted to sell there, and they love selling local, they love selling weird fermented things. Like I could totally see them setting up a little spot for you.
That's cool. That'd be a little far from me, but not too far. Just in Pensacola.
If you could like commute, like got there once a week and drop off a load. There's tons of people, a lot of local people that do that when I was working there. Something to keep in the back of your head. I could probably get you.
I appreciate that.
And that's a very busy spot. You'd probably sell pretty well there.
Yeah, they are super busy. Yeah. Nice.
They're getting busier because that's a very overpopulated area right now. They put in tons of neighborhoods all around us.
Yeah, Baldwin County is booming. That's like one of the fastest growing places in the US, I think.
So Allegri is just gonna keep blowing up.
Yeah.
Always packed. I live right next to it. There's always people there. So that'd be a good place to have any product.
Yeah, that'd be a great place, especially since I got an in with my boy here. Yeah. That'd be cool. Yeah, I appreciate
They
that.
just get
I'll
all
let you know.
their greens and lettuce they just get from the general market in Mobile. There's just a big market where most of the stores around here go every morning and get everything they need. So I'm sure she'd be more than happy to have someone deliver her greens and just stop ordering from the market in Mobile.
Yeah. That'd be great. Give me a chance to I'll go see my mom. She lives like 10 minutes from that market, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lives
No,
right
for real.
there.
I'm more than happy to give them a call and tell them about you. So
That'd be great, man. Yeah, I'll talk to you about that down the road when I have some stuff a little further out. But yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome to have that connection. Yeah. The only thing I don't like is just like the grow permit and the food permit. Like it takes like 4 to 5 weeks for whatever Florida office to process, and then it takes a few weeks for like the farmers market to like receive your application, which requires the permit and or the food permit to sell stuff there. So it'll take me a little time to get started.
Wonder,
Which
would you
is a
need
hassle.
would you need an Alabama grow permit to sell at Allegri, or would a Florida one suffice? I wonder.
That's a good question. I'll have to look into that because you're right. I may need some type of permit for Alabama, but like before I officially move, I'll have 45 days of leave or time off before like I'm finally out of the army. So during that period, I'll be able to like, if I haven't bought a house already, I'll have that time to kind of get things established and start applying for the permits and stuff. Yeah, it's a good call. I'll have to see. I haven't looked into Alabama regulations at all, but I'll have to check
I
that
don't know
out.
how helpful it would be because it's all Alabama laws. But if you wanted to hop on a phone call with her at any time, I could probably make that happen if you had any questions.
I'll have to look into the Alabama permit stuff first, but I'm definitely interested because I don't have any connections in Pensacola. So yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know, but that would be great.
Also, if you need any issue, or if you have any issues with the health department, old Mama Nance worked at the health department for a long time and knows all the ins and outs about it. So,
Mama Nance. She sure did, man. She sure did.
and she likes you more than she likes me, so just give her a call.
That's not saying much. I like her more than I like you, probably. So
I think most people do.
she is our number one fan.
Agreed.
All right, you guys keep talking. I really got to go to the bathroom. I've had too much Smirnoff. I'll be right back. Avery, tell us about your conversion to atheism or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So high school, I was, I was Methodist, which is to Catholic folks
She likes meth.
means atheist. So
Yeah, big girl.
Methodist equals atheist
Methodist
to these
equals
boys.
meth.
Yep.
It's like
So
a combination of atheism and meth.
both. A
That's
dabble.
funny.
Thank you.
I forgot we used to call you atheist. That's brought back good memories. That's funny.
Yeah. I never forget, Gabe.
That's drama.
I am traumatized.
Christian, were you even around? Did you go to
Oh, yeah.
youth group?
All the time.
Yep.
I feel like I don't remember you coming around as much.
Yeah, but I did. So I know I'm just not that important, I guess. So
Is that when you met Avery?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember Christian, and I remember him being really shy.
And stupid.
No, just shy. Like I definitely saw you more, and like
because of obvious reasons.
like Dylan and Lee. Are y'all friends with Lee Levitt?
Not anymore.
Okay. I remember him a lot, and Joe. And then I remember
And
Christian.
yeah, not the guy that was dating your best friend or anything.
No, I said you. my first thing was I
Awkward.
remember you. Literally the first thing I said.
Anyway,
All those double dates with Reed, I guess, just meant nothing.
Like, who? Who's
It's rough, right? I didn't think about how this might dredge up some old memories in a bad way.
I don't know if Christian ever met Reed.
Did you ever meet Reed?
Read who?
He's my ex
Reed's
boyfriend.
ex.
Never heard of
Me, Bailey, Avery, and Reed used to go on double dates.
What a group. What a squad.
Where did
The
Reed
problem-
go to high school? Spanish Fort? Probably a weirdo then.
probably.
Such a weirdo.
You know, the Spanish Fort people are.
Those Toros.
Speaking of Reed, never mind.
Reed.
I've disowned that guy.
We should have Reed on the podcast, not the Reed that she
From
dated.
Birmingham.
No, we're not talking about the one that you dated. We're talking about another Reed, Reed Jones.
Yeah,
Reed, if you're
I've
listening to
disowned
this-
him. He's bailed on us too many times.
He's failed on us more than that, Christian. But also, when you send a random text to a guy that you haven't talked to in years, I feel like you should manage your expectations. You know?
That's fair, but yeah, that's all I got. He's dead to me. Oof.
You know, he was having some heart problems for a while. I feel like that was the last thing. I remember talking to his mom. I like ran into his mom somewhere and she was telling me about that. It's very sad. She was telling me about it. He had these heart problems and like all of his friends had like moved away. It was a very sad conversation. Yeah, his mom's a nice lady though. We used to live in the same neighborhood. You remember that, Christian?
Oh yeah.
Speaking of the grade school friends, if you're listening to this, Ganesh, I see that you're a follower. And
Ganesh, yeah.
Ganesh, we need to get you on the show, buddy. It'd be great to see you. Solve some Rubik's Cubes together. I just solved one the other day. Thought
Did you
about it.
really?
Yeah, I still remember.
Wow, that's
Every
wow.
time I solve it, I think about Ganesh and how he does it. And like
Ganesh was a machine, man. He had those crazy amount of sides, like not a cube, but like crazy shapes, and he would like solve those. That was wild.
If you're watching this, Ganesh, put in the comments how fast you solved the 3x3, your world record.
We want to hear it. I also remember he greased up his cubes, like he put a little like lubricant on it, so like it turned quicker. Yeah, just like a little pro tip for any of our speed Rubik's Cube solver competitors out there. Got throw a little lube on that bad boy.
You can say that about a lot of things in life. It's always
You're not wrong. It was wild watching him though, like how fast his hands moved and like how quickly he like processed where everything was at. That was impressive. Ganesh, you're quite a guy, man.
What's he doing nowadays? You guys know?
You were the last one to talk to him, man. He messaged you about the podcast.
I don't remember. He was.
You didn't ask him?
No, I was busy.
You should ask him what he's doing.
No.
bring him on the podcast and we can all hear about how he's doing.
We could. I just remember seeing him in college because he went to South for a little bit and he tried to like sell me something.
Drugs, probably.
No, it wasn't drugs. Actually, I think he was trying to do some type of advertising thing with laptops. I don't remember. But I also remember he was relatively bald, but now I'm going bald. So, Gabe, you got a great head of hair, man. I'm jealous.
Thank you. I work hard for it.
That's good, man. I'm happy for you. Christian's got a comb
I
over.
usually
That's why
wash it out too.
I do have a lot of hair where I have it, so get
you
better.
you got a mullet to make up for everything you're missing up front.
It's fine. It's starting to come back ever since I left the army.
I don't believe you.
Right.
I hope it's true though.
Hair comes back, does it? Can hair come back?
It can. I mean, you can lose it because of high stress, having a lot of stress. I think it's a cortisol thing. Your cortisol affects your hair follicles' ability to produce hair, and then if you're not as stressed, it can start to regrow it. But what are you guys looking at?
Don't worry about it.
All right, no doubt. No doubt.
Hey,
Well, you're really hurting them Smirnoffs, aren't you?
Well, I'm done for now. I drank my 12. I'm done for the night. That's where I call it quits. Just a quick 12 Smirnoff Ice and done. I did see those big bottles though. Not at the gas station I bought this from, but I was somewhere else, and they had like the 1 liter or like 1.5 liter bottles.
Yeah, I think that's what I got.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh boy, that's a good one right there. Yeah.
It was almost room temperature, so it just seemed extra fizzy. It was awful.
I feel like that just go down easier though. You know, cold water or any cold liquid actually holds dissolved gas better.
I don't know what the deal was, but it was hard to drink. My tummy was very full afterwards.
That's interesting. I feel like you've chugged a lot of beer in your day though, and I feel like Smirnoff Ice is less carbonated than beer. Like if I tried to chug even like an 8-ounce glass of beer, like I think I might throw up. I don't think I could do that.
Could you chug Smirnoff?
Oh, no question. Because it's like very lightly carbonated.
I don't think so. Not this Smirnoff, not the one I had. There's a lot.
And that was like had a little something extra in there for you. When you started drinking it, was the cap already off?
No, the cap was on. I mean,
Are you sure?
No, he took it off.
You sure someone didn't like open it for you and then hand it to you in a sly way that made you suspicious?
No, it was under a bag on the counter, and I just saw this random bag on the counter. I was like, "Oh, what's going on there?" Me, like, "Oh no." I like picked it up, and I was like, "Oh no, this is not good."
Yeah.
And I had to,
I was there. He whined and complained about it for like 5 minutes.
I believe it. That
Took
makes
him
sense.
forever. He drank it like a little bitch. He like sipped on it for 20 minutes.
That's how Christian is. So I'm not super surprised, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big weenie. I'll grow up one.
Figuratively, you're a big weenie, but you better stop there. We don't want this podcast to get too profane. That's my bad. That's the Smirnoff talking. Sorry, guys. Gabe, you got to keep us civil as the guest. You got to keep us on topic.
No talking about small peepees.
All right.
Woo. Anyway.
Yep.
This is good, man. Gabe, what do you think we should call our podcast? I feel like our two biggest names that we're leaning towards are Slightly Offensive and Dead Space because of all like the awkward silences.
I thought it was Dead Takes.
It might be, well, maybe both of those were on the table.
All right.
Jordan had a bunch of really good ones. I like the ones that Jordan threw out.
Yeah, those were all from Jordan.
Well, Slightly Offensive was from Nancy.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mom.
I do like Slightly Offensive. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's what we're leaning towards based on our last conversation.
I like that.
Yeah, I think we should pull the trigger and name it that. The Slightly Offensive Podcast with TNC.
Yeah, TNC is just not enough.
It's not memorable. You can't do much with that.
It's true. Who knows?
Also, there's some fuckers on YouTube that like just some kids that talk about like sports games. They got like 2 or 3 videos on YouTube. They got like 20 views, so we got them beat big time. But their name is also TNC.
What a bunch of losers.
Fuck them.
Straight up.
Explicit. No, we're good. We already marked this one explicit. We decided. Okay. Yeah, I like that. The Slightly Offensive Podcast with TNC. We got a lot of work to do though, Christian. We got to start making some video shorts that we share on Instagram, and we got to come up with like some type of graphic illustration. I know a guy who's a graphic design guy who can make us something. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but I just feel like we need to have an idea of like what we want. Or we could just do a picture of me and you.
That's what's on our Instagram. So
yeah.
Yeah,
oh
like
yeah, you're right. That is a nice picture of me and you. We should just make that on our Anchor/Spotify and YouTube profile.
Awesome.
I think y'all should. What was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. Y'all should. Wow, I really lost what I was going to say. Come back to me.
I don't think I anything. I think you just wanted to.
We'll come back to you. I do really like the picture that we have for Spotify. which comes from the Anchor platform. It's just like a bunch of leaves of like a bush or something. It just feels very earthy, and like I feel relaxed when I'm looking at it. I don't know, that doesn't have to do anything, but I really like it. That's why I chose it. So it's one of the preset options.
I remember you also take like clips, like funny clips from the podcast, and then kind of compile it into one video and put that on Instagram, like little like reel of bits.
Yeah, that's what we're planning on doing. So I kind of do that anyway. Like I'll do a quick playthrough of our videos to make sure that we don't say anything crazy. So what we're gonna start doing is when we look through that, we'll like save and make like little shorts of where we say like real ludicrous or funny stuff. And then make a little compilation. Maybe one day have like a little intro or outro to the video where we play that. Anyway, we're not very good at this, but we enjoy it, and we appreciate all our listeners, especially Nancy, our number one fan.
Good old mom.
Good old Nance.
We love ya.
Much love. Even from A3. A3. I can find Avery and Atheist. Isn't that funny?
A3, Alpha 3. Your name
is that's how I think you, Avery the Atheist. I can't get it out of my mind. So
that's weird.
Yeah. I'll be honest though, last time we saw each other? Yeah, last time we saw each other when I was staying with Christian and you were there, I tried really hard to not bring up the atheist thing because that was a really dumb joke. And I was like, want to put a good foot forward with Avery. He's dating my boy. Want to be cool about it. And I tried real hard. Eventually it came up though, and I just had to lean into it. But
it's fine.
It's just funny because I had no like actual grounds. So, but I'm pretty sure Lee Levitt was the one who started that, not me. Let's put that out there for the record. Lee Levitt, not me.
Love it.
What a guy. What is he doing now? I wonder.
Who knows?
Man, high school times. That's wild. Well, I feel like we're coming to a natural conclusion of the podcast. So I think this may be a good place to end it. Christian and Avery, do you have any closing thoughts for our audience?
Actually, yeah. Not for me, but from Avery. Avery?
White Christian.
No, I know what I would say. You have to say something.
It's on the tip of your tongue. Go for it.
No, what are your closing thoughts?
I don't have any.
You guys are the worst. This is why we don't get any more followers on the podcast. You specifically. I just want to put that out there. It sure is fun recording these, though. I'll be honest. When we recorded the one with Morgan last week, she messaged me immediately after. I think so. Yeah, it was last week.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago, I think.
Whatever, man. Time is an illusion.
Time is money.
But she messaged me after. She's like, that was so much fun. I got a real good dopamine release from that. And I was like, I'll be honest, that's the main reason why we do it. Not so much for everything that comes after. But anyway, Gabe, thanks for being on the podcast, man. We liked having you here. Are there any like final things you want to share with our audience?
No, I had a blast. It's an honor to be on the show. Two legends, Toby and Christian, two of my oldest friends. Always good to see you guys. Toby, I haven't seen you in like 8 years. We need to make that change soon, but it's great to hang out with you for a couple hours virtually.
Great to hang out with you too, man. I'll hit you up when I'm down in the area for Mardi Gras.
Do that, please.
Time. All right. Thanks to all our listeners. I'm stopping it now.
Thanks, Mom.